I'm George Galloway, and I present كلمة on Mayadeen television. Here we are in London. I speak my words freely, either in Parliament, on television, here on the streets of London. كلمة means free word. That's what I speak. So كلمة is a two-way conversation. Check it out on Mayadeen television. Welcome to كلمة with me, George Galloway, on Mayadeen television. Coming to you from London, but discussing for the first time, I think, on كلمة Pakistan, the sixth most populous country in the world, a gigantic and strategically important Muslim country. Normally, I say, we have an audience of distinguished experts and one or two enthusiastic amateurs like me, but I pass as an expert in this field. I hold the two highest awards in Pakistan, the Hilal-e-Qaid-e-Azam and the Hilal-e-Pakistan, so you can call me Sir, at least in Urdu. So we have an audience of distinguished experts, and I know a thing or two about which we speak also. Pakistan has a new Prime Minister, a dashing, flamboyant hero, Imran Khan, the former Pakistan cricket captain, known across the world, known particularly in Britain, where he lived and, well, played for some time. He left those playing days long behind him. He's now a rather austere, some say Islamist Prime Minister, but he has a mandate and he does intend to use it. Who is Imran Khan? Is he the cricket captain, the flamboyant playboy? Is he an Islamist? What difference will he make to Pakistan? We have here the former High Commissioner of Pakistan in Britain, several terms actually, an associate, a friend of the late and great Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the most dashing and I believe brilliant and effective Prime Minister that Pakistan ever had. He also advised his daughter, Benazir Bhutto, after Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was martyred by the military dictatorship on the gallows. He was with Benazir Bhutto until she also was slain. He's still with the Pakistan People's Party today. There will be others in this audience who are big supporters of Imran Khan. I know him well. I respect him and admire him, but I'm with the People's Party, just so you know. First speaker, Your Excellency, tell us the importance of Imran Khan's victory. Who did he defeat? Why did he defeat them? And what do you think he's going to achieve as Prime Minister? Hold the microphone close to your mouth, please.
Thank you, George.
Welcome.
It's a very great pleasure for me to be here with you this evening, with along this galaxy of audience. Very pertinent questions you have asked. Pakistan has had, for the first time, it had elections in 2008, after a long period of martial law, military rule. This is the third election which has elected a popular leader. Imran Khan is a popular leader. He has got certain qualities which everybody knows, both the qualities, you know, and other things that he has been doing in life. We have a lot of hope in him because he promised several things. You know, corruption-free Pakistan. He promised that Pakistan will be independent. Foreign policy will be made in the Foreign Office. How much? We have yet to wait and see. Because the few things that we have done so far have not spoken well of what he had promised. Anyway, we have to give him a due chance because he has been elected by a popular mandate. And he needs to be supported at this time because Pakistan is in a great difficulty in the sense that it does not have a friendly neighbor. All its neighbors are hostile. It is placed, although it enjoys a peculiar strategic importance in the region.
And there's a nuclear power, of course.
Nuclear power. Despite that, it is one of the worst possible countries which is, you know, squeezed by superpower like United States, and which has been having a very bad time with the United States. You know, they've been wanting us to do all the time while they're not doing anything themselves. So these things are to be considered. Imran Khan obviously has got too many challenges before him. Economy is in bad shape. There's no money in the kitty. He has to, he has to introduce austerity, which he promised he will do, but I don't think he will be able to do because the system is such. So we have to look forward to his 5 years. We have to give him a chance, not the way we have been doing it, or not the way he has been doing it. He has been pulling the leg of the former Prime Minister or the previous government. So they have got to give democracy space and do not allow other people to have that space to subvert democracy. And that is what People's Party, if you look at this, the chairman, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, he has been saying that let's work parliament. And unfortunately, like Nawaz Sharif, Imran Khan is also making the mistake. He is not going to the parliament. For example, he has taken very crucial decisions in the sense of Afghan refugee giving nationality to them, telling, to the country that we will not allow ourselves to be used as soldiers for any other power or any other country. And then himself, he offers him, I think, Medina or Makkah or whatever, that we will defend you as our own country. It's not business, because we don't have a business in Saudi Arabia to defend Saudis or to fight against Houthis or Yemenis or anybody else. We have got to keep out of other people's affairs. In the same way, Afghanistan, we don't have to support Taliban or the Americans. We have to let them manage their own affairs, let the Afghans decide what they want to do. So his problems are too many, and yet we would like him to have a chance, yet we would like him to succeed, because again, Pakistan deserves a leader who could succeed in difficult circumstances like ours, surrounded by adversaries, surrounded by forces that are not inimical to Pakistan. So we have to really help him. Thank you very much.
Let's unpick that. 3 issues, salient issues. 1, corruption. 2, structural mass poverty in the country. And 3, Pakistan's place in the world, its foreign affairs. Imran Khan, so far as we can tell, is a perfectly honest man. Because he's never been in power before, he is not able to be criticized, one would say attacked, or even imprisoned for personal corruption. Secondly, how can you have austerity in a country like Pakistan where scores of millions of people are literally on the breadline and many are below the breadline? And thirdly, Pakistan has been a plaything for the United States for decades, since the beginning of the American war in Afghanistan, covert in the beginning, then overt. That's almost 40 years. It's been a pawn in the American geostrategic game. Does Imran Khan have the strength to? Does he wish to break from American policy? And lastly, if I may, I've always advocated, as you know, that Pakistan should weld itself, literally weld itself to China, which is the only real friend that Pakistan has had, whoever was in a government in Pakistan. And China is a rising power, whilst the United States is a falling power. Why doesn't Imran Khan make clear that he is with China to a greater degree than previous premierships? And is it because of this Islamist pull on Imran Khan's premiership that he has not yet seemed able to do that?
George, there are so many other factors, not only Islamist. For example, is he in a position to independently pursue a foreign policy that he likes to, an independent foreign policy? I don't think so. Ever since the ouster of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1977, Foreign Office ceased to be a Foreign Office. It was more or less an appendix to certain agencies. It worked for them, not for foreign policy. Foreign policy was supposed to be made in foreign policy, but it was not made in foreign policy. It was made in another place in intelligence headquarters. That is what is the tragedy of Pakistan. And I wish Imran Khan could have control of foreign policy. And if whatever he wants to do, if he could do it, implement it himself, I don't think so that it will be possible. Because I believe when the foreign minister, the Shah Mahmood Qureshi, went to the Foreign Office for the first time, he turned the desk and he said, foreign policy will be made here. That was a total lie. Foreign policy will not be made there because Army Chief is handling foreign policy, ISPR is handling foreign policy, ISI is handling foreign policy. It is not the Foreign Office that is handling foreign policy.
And are they under the effective control of the United States?
Well, I wouldn't say, but they have their own interest. They're very independent. The interest could be, on the same plank as the United States. And again, United States, as you said it correctly, as United States has got a strategic interest in the region, and the United States want us not to have anything to do with China, and the United States want us to have some sort of good relations with India on their Indian terms. Afghanistan, they want us to play a major role for them. But the thing is, they are not helping us anywhere because they have not helped us in economic, they have not helped us in Kashmir, they have not helped us anywhere. But still they want us to do more. And we have, unfortunately, ever since our inception, we have put all our eggs in the basket. As you said, China has been the steadfast friend of Pakistan since 1947-48, whenever they became independent. But the fact is that it was Pakistan once, which, Ayub Khan, Field Marshal Ayub Khan, when Indians were under attack by Chinese, or Chinese were under attack by the Indians, Ayub Khan offered India, alliance for common enemy from the north, because of John F. Kennedy. He pushed him to. And, at that time, the Chinese had offered Pakistan that you can take over Kashmir because they had almost, decimated Indian army at the borders. And they said, you can take over Kashmir if you want. But we did not. We preferred American advice rather than to take advice of the Chinese. So we have got to be very clear about China. Even Imran Khan has got this Islamist thing with him, which is very bad, I think, for him as well as for the country.
Who would like to offer a contrary view? Madam, would you give us your perspective on these things?
First of all, as an overseas Pakistani, I would welcome him as the Prime Minister of Pakistan because he has introduced the three-party system in Pakistan, and this was another face for Pakistan, and it's like democracy has moved forward. However, looking at his previous record and the way of his U-turns, we do hold reservations. We almost like there is a view that he's almost like a replica of Trump. So he says something, then he regrets it, or he turns back, or he sees the implication, or people are, when they put like kind of comments on him, or he feels, oh, that's not a populist view anymore. So he regrets from his position. And I think that will be his weaker area where he needs to work on different things. Now, in terms of internally, he's got a lot of challenges in Pakistan, I feel, from his extremist views, as we said, and me being the advocate of women empowerment, I feel that he did not support the Women Protection Bill. His province was the last one to even address it, where everybody else, it was introduced by PPP, so well done to them. And then all the other parties accepted it, and it went past through the provincial assemblies. But KPK was the only one, and he was against it. His other extremist views about his views on blasphemy laws, which I feel in his presidential speech, which was really inspirational, and he had a lot of aspirations in it.
It was more Kennedy than Trump.
Yes. But is there a pragmatic approach in it? It's difficult. So I feel those blasphemy laws views gives him like an extremist kind of views within him. People are judging him on that, and the stand for him where he says he's going to uplift like human development and he will stand for the minorities. some of his decisions lately has already shown that he is taking a back step, and I feel that he is under the influence of the extremism in Pakistan, like those, Islamic Party or the mullahs. So we have kind of reservations for him. We wish him all the best, but in terms of foreign policy, I think he is moving very cleverly, like his just current visit in Saudi Arabia, getting them on board. Plus, he got China as being the big investors in Pakistan. He's taking both of them and he's working together with them. And they have announced like an oil, field or something in Pakistan that I'm still looking into. I feel he's got a broader view on foreign policy, and he knows what he's doing. But internally, he will face a lot of challenges from within his own party and from the way in the past in the parliament, like he never respected the parliament. So now he's asking to bring all those reforms that he needs to move forward in Pakistan. But how would he do that when he did not support the previous governments, and he was out on the street as supposed to be sitting in the parliament? So I feel that will be his, strong opposition will be against him on that.
Well, oppositions are supposed to oppose, and it may be that he will take a different view now that he's in power. Let's take the gentleman behind you. Yes, sir.
As a sportsman, Imran Khan should be a sportsman. He must have a sportsman spirit. But during his playing days, he showed he was lacking in them. For example, when Javed Miadad made 280 runs and he was about to break the records, he declared. He did not give him the chance.
I'm not sure our audience will fully grasp the cricketing metaphor.
The point is that because he was a Mahajir, and and the other thing is that when the team was going to Australia and they made Javed Miadad the captain, he said, I'm not available. But when Javed Miadad said, you become captain, he was available.
So you're saying he wasn't a team player?
He was not a team
even when
player.
He was in the cricket team?
Even now, I doubt he will be able to manage.
It's only fair to point out he was an absolutely brilliant cricketer.
He is good. He's from Oxford.
I mean, he's the Ronaldo of Pakistan cricket.
He is British educated, so he must be good in politics.
Yes, sir.
It's quite early days for Imran Khan to judge. It's only a month and 2 days, right? Whatever he promised as a street person, what they think about the country, he thinks that. So he linked with everybody. Presently, challenges, we had always challenges in Pakistan, being a strategic position in the world. And we had a relationship with United States like a boyfriend, girlfriend. When they wanted, you stick with them, otherwise they throw it away. As we've seen when Afghan was invaded, once the job was done, they run away. Left us in a mess. We carried on with Afghan. Taliban was created. One time he was named as Mr. Taliban Khan.
Was that fair, though?
It wasn't fair, but the power of the mullahs was very strong at that time, and we Pakistanis have suffered a lot. They crossed the border by the blessing of many politicians, mullah politicians of Pakistan. These terrorists or whatever, they were brought in, and we had a lot of fight, and we lost about 60 to 70,000 people, Pakistanis people, and the military could not cope. America, who brought them by senior Mr. Bush, don't worry, Ziaul Haq, I will bring all these volunteer fighters, they will get rid of this Russian. We were very happy, but we did not...
More fool you.
That's right, fool me. Envisage the things is going to come, because with Pakistani Foreign Office, they can see just 1 feet in front. They couldn't see 10 feet away what's going to come. So, and what at the end Pakistan suffered with the drug culture and the Kalashnikov, and it is rife in Pakistan to the still date. We had many skirmishes, especially big city like Karachi was used as a playground for Taliban, and it was encouraged by, unfortunately, by our Pakistani army. I would say Imran Khan is good at present. but he have to tread his feet in the right way. Unfortunately, Mr. Nawaz Sharif is a very manipulative man.
This is his predecessor.
He's
just been released from jail, I see.
That's right. He's going to do something behind the scene to topple him because the coalition government is not very strong. And he did not have like 30-seat majority, merely 10. And he has to attract people from independent party and some party like MQM. Ideologically, they are 180 degrees apart. But he has learned his lesson in politics, which he denied himself. Opportunity was given by Pervez General Musharraf to groom him up. He said, no, I don't want to. On the contrary, the People's Party, Nawaz League, all the Jamaat Ulama, they participated in the election, regardless of the military. But Imran Khan, I said, I am a man of principle. I don't want to fight election under the junta generals. My view will be that, please, God help him. When you talk about China, he is going in November. The first visit to Saudi Arabia like a second home to us. So he doesn't count as a foreign
I don't think the Saudi Arabians look at it quite that way.
That's right.
We'll be right back with the second segment after this. You're watching Kalima on Al-Mayadeen television from London, but discussing Pakistan. We took the Kalima camera onto the streets of London to see what the people thought. Take a look at this.
Do you know who Imran Khan is?
Who?
Imran Khan.
No?
He's a cricketer.
Yes, I heard about him also. Yes,
Heard about him?
yes. I'm led to believe he's a cricket player.
Do you know Imran Khan?
I do.
I know Imran Khan. He's now Prime Minister of India, isn't he, or Pakistan?
Given that Imran Khan is a celebrity, do you think the celebrities should enter politics or leave it to the politicians?
I think the politician should be at their on the politics. No, not cricket player, please. Just politics. I think that.
And?
If they have a good message, a strong meaning and clear thoughts, obviously, like any profession, they could go in politics.
Well, it's difficult. Ronald Reagan went into politics rather successfully. Donald Trump went into politics so far rather unsuccessfully. I would suspect Reagan made a better job of it than Trump is going to make of it. So I don't think there's any black and white rules where it comes to that.
If they are doing it for the good, they should try to improve the politics, because it's the thing that politics is a gutter and should not go there. But if it's for the good of the people and you are really concerned about the people, then why not give it a try?
It would depend on, obviously, that person's background. That would be very, like I say, stereotypical of saying a celebrity can't be in politics. If he believes in something, then yes.
Well, they say that politics is show business for ugly people, but what would I know about that? Imran Khan, definitely a celebrity, and now the elected Prime Minister of Pakistan. How are you feeling about that, sir?
I'm feeling very positive. Thanks for asking me to come over here. My name is Faisal Khwaja, and I support PTI. Obviously,
this is Imran's party.
Yes, Imran's party. My respected colleagues, obviously, they belong to an opposition parties. That's why they were saying about what they are saying about their comments. What I want to tell you, first of all, that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI, is not just a political party. It's not just about the politics. It's about the rule of law, meritocracy, and transparency guaranteed given to the public of Pakistan. That's the PTI. First of all, in 2013, when we had the last general elections, that was the first time we had the government in KPK.
Now, let me just explain to the international audience. Pakhtunkhwa is the new name of the province, formerly the Northwest Frontier Province, and on the border with Afghanistan.
Yes.
Just so the international audience can place that. Go ahead, sir.
So at that time, it was a very difficult task to govern in KPK, because obviously there was northern Waziristan, FATA, and Afghanistan. So these borders were associated with the KPK. It was very difficult to rule and govern in that part of the country. And in 2018 elections, everyone has seen that in last election, we have got the double amount of votes and the seats in KPK. Is just because the governance we did in 5 years in KPK that proved the capacity, ability of PTI in that difficult part of area to govern. So this is what happened. And I would say, because this is just over 3 months, 2 days old party governance in Pakistan, first time, it was not easy task to make your federal government as well as the provincial governments in the country. First time in the history of PTI, which we have done it. We have made our cabinets and stuff. But at the moment, this is a very difficult time, and we must all, the Pakistanis, give at least 6 months to 1 year time to PTI to see what the PTI does. It was only the hopes or talks, or they are delivering as well. In terms of the PTI, we basically are relying on the human development. We are not relying on looting, corruption, and all of these things. We want to give the power to the local and the public who are below the power, below the point of the living in the world. So basically what I was trying to say, that Imran Khan has been given the hopes to all the nations. He has done it what he said in the past. It's about 22 years of his experience, his struggle, which he did in PTI, and today he's become the Prime Minister. So if you look at his personality, whatever he did, whatever he told to the public, to the nation, he has always done. Winning 1992, the World Cup, making Shaukat Khanum Hospital, and then Namal University, and now a non-political background person established a political party and bring the third biggest party in the country. It's not a very small thing. It's a phenomenal thing which he has done, and we must all appreciate him. Just stand by him and just give him a chance to deliver for the country.
Now, let me do as I did with our respected colleague, Mr. Wajid, unpack the three things: corruption, mass poverty, and foreign policy. What will his stand be on corruption? The former Prime Minister, his predecessor, has just been released by the courts from prison. I don't think even he would pretend that that's the end of the corruption allegations against him and his family. Is Imran Khan committed to, and will he have the strength to, pursue corruption, historic corruption, as well as contemporary corruption in Pakistan? Or will some of the same corrupt elements that surrounded the previous government and the government before that, will they finally, as it were, inveigle their way into Imran Khan's circle and poison it?
Basically, we want to reform our foundations so strong that whatever he is or she is corrupt, done the corruption now, in the past, or in the history, they will never get rid of that. In terms of Mr. Nawaz Sharif is concerned, he's out on bail at the moment. And because we don't want to interfere into any foundations, any departments, we want to give them and make them so strong so they can do their decisions, and they don't have to be influenced by even a prime minister. So that is one of the reasons. If Nawaz Sharif is out of bail, there was no influence of Imran Khan as a prime minister to the NAP or to the courts that he didn't want him to come out. It was the decision by the court, High Court. That's why it's been done.
So it's fair play by Imran.
It's really a fair play.
But will Nawaz Sharif be equally a fair play man towards Imran Khan? I doubt that.
I don't think so, no.
A very manipulative man.
He's not going to do anything to do that. Obviously, he's out, and obviously the supporters of Nawaz Sharif, they are celebrating at the moment, but they're really not understanding the fact that he's just out on the bail, and there's two more references. Plus, there is going to go on the Supreme Court very soon, and he's going to be on and off anyway.
So what will Imran Khan's foreign policy be?
The problem is that since last 10 years, our foreign policy is very weak. I would say there is no foreign policy at all. We don't have the experts in the foreign policies, the amount of people that should be in the foreign office. So what we are doing now, we are going to increase our foreign officers. We're going to increase our foreign offices in the rest of the world, of the countries, and we want to deal reciprocal with the countries. We don't want them to give us the orders, or we don't want to deal with them on a way that they will dominate us. No, we want to send, and we will be sent. That's the part of our policy, that we will be increasing our ambassadors in the foreign offices, and we will make the new legislation and the policies in our foreign policies to strengthen the foreign policy of Pakistan around the globe.
Now, Ms. Samira Khan, you're visiting from the United States. You're a big television personality, presenter on RT. You'd make a good ambassador. What do you think of this foreign policy issue in particular?
On foreign policy, he does have a lot of challenges, and from what we've seen so far, it doesn't look too promising, especially with his first visit to Saudi Arabia. Now, I think he had initially said that he wouldn't make any foreign trips in his first 90 days. He had the opportunity to go to the UN and meet with all of these world leaders, but he chose to go to Saudi Arabia. Right? And he went to Saudi Arabia, he did a few interviews, and then immediately following that, one of his ministers criticized China for its alleged oppression of Uyghur Muslims. And that happens to be aligned with Saudi foreign policy. And then it also lends credence to those, Islamist Taliban Khan arguments. Now, his government did criticize China, but did we hear a peep from him about the genocide that Saudi Arabia is committing in Yemen? No, we have not. So I was very, very excited initially, but now I don't know. Anyway.
Well, as the gentleman said earlier, Saudi Arabia is a second home for Pakistanis. As I said, the Saudis don't quite see it that way, unless cleaning their homes is what you had in mind. He went there presumably for financial reasons. More troublingly is the criticism of China. China has been steadfast friend of Pakistan through democracy, military dictatorship, left, right, whoever was in power. China has been a consistent friend. How are they likely to have viewed this attack on them by one of Imran Khan's ministers?
Well, I think that China keeps its economic relations strong with whoever attacks them. And right now we're seeing attacks from the West, from the Gulf, on this very issue, but it doesn't really send a positive message considering that China considers Pakistan one of its strongest allies. And to China, it looks as if Pakistan is taking the Saudi view on this issue.
Now, you've come from the United States. The United States has used and abused Pakistan for many, many decades. Making it the armed camp of the so-called Mujahideen in the 1980s. And the drugs and the weapons that were required there have cascaded all over Pakistan. What's the attitude of the United States government to Imran Khan? Are they nervous about him? Did they prefer the devil they knew? Are they anxious that he is going to make an independent foreign policy?
Well, the reactions in the U.S. media weren't so positive. They were very scared. I think there was one headline in the New York Times, nuclear-powered Islamic Republic gets unstable new leader, or something along those lines. So, yes, they are very...
Nervous.
Yeah, they're nervous. But the U.S. government never viewed Pakistan in a positive light. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican, 86% of Americans have an unfavorable view of Pakistan. And that has been that sentiment has been created by the mass media. And it's no coincidence that it aligns perfectly with India's view of Pakistan, especially all of the rhetoric surrounding terrorism. You know, I always say, how many supposed Pakistan-based terrorists have to die in Afghanistan for them to reconsider this narrative?
Now, Imran very strongly spoke out against the Prime Minister of India just this day. He called him a small man. That seems to indicate that if Imran Khan is going to remain unmovable or immovable on anything, it's likely to be on Indo-Pak relations.
Yes, well, I think that all of the parties are now behind Imran Khan, at least from this attack from India. And, you know, there isn't that much of a difference between the parties in terms of their policy towards India. So, I mean, that's not, a great achievement to me. I was more concerned about China, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S., because that's where the parties actually differ in.
Yes, but given the U.S. and U.K. Infatuation with Modi's India, a Pakistani leader who's perceived as hostile to Modi and to his India is likely to incur some problems in the West.
Yes, I think that we have to see what actually happens at the UNGA first before determining what could happen. But absolutely, the U.S. views India as a very strong ally. India recently made a decision to buy the S-400 defense system from Russia, and the U.S. promised sanctions on anybody who does these deals with Russia. But in the NDAA, the defense bill this year, there was a waiver that exempts India from this. So clearly the U.S. views India as a very strong ally and will react very harshly to a Pakistani leader that they think is agitating India, because that's what they're going to view it as.
Sir.
My name is Amir Belim. I'm a graphic designer, sometimes work in the vehicle trade as well. I am a relative Khan supporter. I'd like to just congratulate him on his victory. Pakistan translates into English as pure land. So hopefully you can return it to some form of dignity. Also, I just want to add that what Imran Khan should try and do with the future is to try and look at some of the ideas what India and China have done. For example, like India have like a Silicon Valley, and the head of Google is an Indian man from India, which you would think the biggest company in the world would be an Indian man at the head of it. What Imran Khan could do is have like a Silicon Valley in Pakistan and try to create those kind of electronical opportunities and make all that possible. Things like lithium have come from like the Afghanistan-Pakistan kind of area. This modern phenomenon of the electric cars may well not have even been possible if it wasn't for the lithium that's come out there. So the only other thing I'd like to add to all of that is that there's plenty of British Pakistanis here that could help out and return, just like our Indians did with India, and help rebuild Pakistan to a decent level.
There you go, Imran.
Imran Khan.
Volunteers.
I'm available.
Right back.
I'm available.
You're watching Kalima with me, George Galloway, here in London for Mayadeen television, talking about Pakistan. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, George. One of the things I think, insofar as the relationship with Washington is concerned, I think the majority of the people in Pakistan are not in acquiescence with the elite of Pakistan, whether it's been the Zardari elite or Nawaz Sharif elite or the bureaucracy. Pakistan historically has acted as Washington's whore over the years. And not only that, the elite, even when Pakistan was being screwed thoroughly due to terrorism and so on, they walked all the way to the bank with a smile. So that has been a big tragedy as far as corruption and how it has become insipid in the elites of Pakistan. The ordinary people, 220 million that you mentioned, perhaps 215 million have not benefited from any of this going on, the shenanigans that the elite have inflicted on Pakistan historically. Secondly, when one talks about corruption, London, the city that we are sitting in, huge amounts of money has been siphoned off by the elite into London as an offshore haven for corrupt money. It's our government, the British government, is very happy to take money from all of the corrupt leaders of the world, whether it's Pakistan or African nations.
Nigeria.
Nigeria, you name it.
Most of the Nigerian cabinet are living here.
Absolutely. Similarly, half the Iraqi cabinet used to be in London, and they're now in Iraq. So, you know, any of the countries. So our country, this particular city, acts as a conduit for corrupt money to be laundered very effectively. 7 of the 10 offshore havens fly a British flag. Cayman Islands, Bermuda, you name it, all of them are used by these elites. So the reality of the situation is that whatever measures that Imran Khan may take to eradicate or reduce corruption, so long as London is very happy to take the money in, it becomes very difficult. The second point, I think, which all of the audience have perhaps missed, is Pakistan has a 1,000-mile border with Iran. The reality is that Pakistan has to have good relationship not only with China but also Iran. As we know, there was going to be an oil pipeline that was going to be run from Zahedan and from Iran's side to Quetta, which was stopped by the previous regime because of his relationship with Saudi Arabia. The relationship with Saudi Arabia hasn't been good at all. The problem really started in Pakistan when Ziaul Haq, whom some of us like to call Ziaul Batil, because your Arab listeners are listening to it, the difference between Haq and Batil, what it means is that Ziaul Batil was the one who actually invited all these terrorists when the Afghan war was going on, and Pakistan territory was used as a if you like, a movement towards bringing in the problems that Pakistan has been facing for the last 40 years or 30 years. So really Pakistan has to decide whether its foreign policy is going to be in line with the Saudi policy, because the Saudis are on a losing wicket, to use a sort of cricketing terminology. Their star is
not now. When?
Well, you know, I wish tomorrow, but the reality is that one doesn't know. So, and again, Washington itself is losing lots of games at this moment, whether it's the trade war with China or sort of putting sanctions on Iran.
The war in Syria.
Absolutely. So Pakistani elite, Pakistani politicians and Imran Khan have to really decide that are they going to be on the wrong side of the history or back the winners like Iran, China, Russia and the other relationship that they must sort of continue in a progressive manner.
Thank you. Gentleman next to you.
Assalamu alaikum, George. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd just like to say I'm an Imran Khan supporter. I think he's a great hero and a patriotic leader. I'm very optimistic about his administration doing well in Pakistan. Just a few of the points raised earlier. I think it was the honourable guest there who mentioned Saudi Arabia, why he's gone on a trip there. What actually happened was it was arranged before with China that Saudi would be investing in the CPEC Gwadar Port City program. So they're going to build an oil city there along with China and Pakistan. So that's why that particular trip had to happen the way it did. And with regards to strengthening the alliance with China, as you said, absolutely, that's true. Just last week, General Bajwa was in Beijing meeting with Xi Jinping. I think that's the first time a Pakistani general has met with a Chinese leader in my As far as I recall, maybe it's happened before. And just generally speaking, respectfully, I disagree with what the Honourable Ambassador said earlier on. I think the naysayers have always been there. I mean, they said he couldn't win the World Cup, he won the World Cup. They said, you'll never build the cancer hospital. We built one. They said about Namal College, it's running today very well. And they said when he took on Nawaz Sharif and Asif Zardari, they said these two people are very thoroughly entrenched in Pakistani politics in terms of their corruption and so forth. Don't take them on. He took them on. Today they're irrelevant in politics. I mean, they're fading very fast. Nawaz Sharif is out on bail. There are like 3 or 4 other cases pending against him. Asif Zardari's front men have been arrested. Anwar Majid, all of these other, the Memo Gate case, all of these cases are being opened right now. So I personally am optimistic about Imran Khan's future in Pakistan. Everyone, I think, should do their bit to help him, and he'll do well, God willing. You know.
Well said, well said. Gentleman at the back.
Hi. I think it's a bit immature to conclude or make judgments on Imran Khan. I think it's absolutely fantastic after so long of Pakistan, which I've travelled extensively, go all the time, love the country, love the many nuances and everything. But I usually walk around in, you know, the corridors of reality and not the elitist people who make judgments. And I think Imran Khan needs to be given time. And if he's making critique, or people from his cabinet are making critique of China, I think it's brilliant. I think they should be hooking up with China. I think they should be disengaging with the US. They should be making friends with Afghanistan and sorting out all these issues. I think even when he went to Saudi Arabia, I think he meant it more as a spiritual home rather than just like you presented it or somebody presented it as just a blatant kind of political aspiration or kind of joining up. We need to give him time. He's hope for young people. I don't think many people understand how comforting it was when he came in. We supported him right from the beginning. We wanted to change. I don't think he's an Islamist like you've portrayed him. I think it's disingenuous. I think he understands the many, many layers. Pakistan is a very complicated country. If you travel through, cultures are changing, religious views are changing, everything is changing. And I think that what he's doing is actually being slightly clever. He's going to manoeuvre that because he wants peace. He wants a bit of tranquility. He wants to sort things out. And yeah, I travelled through KPK last year and it was absolutely incredible. It was the first time I didn't fear for my life, which I actually enjoy fearing for my life. But it wasn't there. And so I think just give him time. He needs support. Yeah. I think the old parties, your old party, PPP, is finished, thank God. Zulfikar Bhutto was brilliant, I agree, but after that it's a complete and utter basket case. So they're finished. Nawaz Sharif hopefully finished. And out of Imran Khan, I hope new people will come, new parties with, you know, Pakistan has got so much richness, has got so much to give, so much to engage with and everything like that. And we really needed a break from its history. It was people from here, British Pakistanis or whatever you want to call them, or overseas Pakistanis, were going to Pakistan, investing, coming back torn because they couldn't get on with things. The corruption starts from the elitists and is right down at peasant working class because it became a lifestyle. So there's lots and lots of layers and far beyond the political and the media spin that people put forward and all that stuff. Okay. I think we should just give him time, and I feel hopeful, and hopefully he will do good. And if he doesn't, it'll be because of them old elitists who will undermine him and, you know, want a bit more money back from the White House.
Imran's from the elite also, of course.
Well, he is, but I think he's more passionate. Yeah, just like you know him, I know him, and I think he's a bit more passionate, and I think he's a bit more sincere than a lot of the other elitists that...
Well, clearly the majority agrees. This gentleman here next, please. Then back up to Ahmed. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Payam. I'm from London. I wanted just to discuss a few things about the options ahead in front of the Pakistani's new government. Pakistan and India, they're not getting along well, and usually America takes a lot of advantage out of these situations, as you've seen with North Korea and South Korea, and usually one side will have to rely on America. And also you've seen it with Iran and Iraq, and it ended up with 8 years of war. 300,000 died on Iran side, 100,000 died on Iraq side. At the end, what happened? They all went back to the original borders. So if Pakistan wants to become independent in its foreign policy, it's important that they get that issue resolved. If not, America will play them, and they have a lot of different ways that they can play them.
But the main issue between Pakistan and India is the illegal occupation of Kashmir and the brutal repression of the Kashmiri people. I don't think Imran Khan's going to abandon them, do you?
I don't think they should. I don't recommend they should. They should...
Very difficult to get peace with India then.
Yeah, if they are occupying their territory and they have claims over it, and Pakistan have claims over it, it could end one way or another. And we know one way is war, and the other way is whether they're going to make peace. How, that is a difficult question to answer. It's just as difficult as the Palestinian and Israeli issue. And
going exactly the same amount of time too, and with even greater casualties in Kashmir.
Yes, exactly. So it's all good.
And Israel's now training the Indian forces, repressing the people in Kashmir.
Yeah, exactly. And Trump is trying to get ideas from Israel to build his wall, which he still haven't started building. So when Imran Khan is talking about having an independent foreign policy, it is very difficult to implement. And I don't know whether when he was running for the race, whether he explained how, you know. It's easy to say things, it's easy to promise things, but how does he intend to do that? Is he going to have an all-out war? Is he going to sit down with India and talk? And
he's offered to talk. It's the Indians that don't want to talk.
Okay. But another side of things is I'm from that region as well myself. I was born in Iran. So one thing that I don't really understand and appreciate from people of that region is that to please one, they have to act in a certain way. So Pakistan can have very close ties with Iran. To please Saudis, they should not distance themselves from their neighbor. They are neighbors, they can have very close ties, they can do business with each other. You know, I do understand in Saudi Arabia they have 2 million of their population there, and they send back home about $4 billion every year. Same in UAE, they have 1.2 million people there, and they send back $2 billion back. I understand that, and maybe that's one of the reasons for visiting Saudi Arabia, because we know how quick they are in terms of kicking out their workers, like they've done it with Qataris. So I understand all of that, but the fact that they have not built in close ties with Iran, is it to please Saudis?
For sure.
What else? You know, so that is one part I really personally do not understand.
More after this. You're watching Kalima with me, George Galloway, on Mayadeen television, taking the camera onto the streets of London to ask people what they thought of Pakistan's new leader, Imran Khan.
Imran Khan's first official visit was to Saudi Arabia. Do you think that's significant, good or bad?
I think it's positive. I think Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are allies for a while, and obviously he wants to reinforce that relationship. So fairly positive.
I know that the British government has contact with the Saudi Arabian regime and makes it clear that there are elements of their society with which Britain and here in the West we disapprove. And if Imran Khan is going there on a similar basis, then that can only be a good thing.
What do you think the significance of his first visit abroad to Saudi Arabia is?
I don't think it's significant. I think it's just showing a connection with the Saudi royal family, Al Fayed family, the Muslim state of the Sunni people of Islam. I think he's just showing a unified bond with the Sunnis.
Imran Khan has chosen to ally himself more with China. Do you think that's a wise move?
I think it's early days. I don't know how that will pan out. Obviously, the project's important to Pakistan, but America's important too, and it's been an ally for a long time. So
I think the fracas between sort of America and obviously its allies is something which has been brought on previously before Trump, obviously with regards to siding with China. I think that's a good thing. China are a force to be reckoned with.
It is beneficial for Western democracies and countries in Asia to have dialogue with them, to have a strong relationship with them, and I hope that can be achieved without it being at the expense of a relationship with another country.
It depends on his views, and because India are having their problems with China, and it's always a tension situation. China-Pakistan is always a sort of tension situation for India as well. So if he takes care of all the viewpoints and go accordingly, that should be fine.
The voice of the people, somewhat incoherent. Yes, the gentleman at the back.
So obviously I'm not Pakistani, as you can tell. And I'm not actually that well versed in Pakistani politics, but I do have many British Pakistani friends. And one thing I notice about the emergence of Imran Khan and the election of Imran Khan is he seems to have given pride to young Pakistanis. For so long, when you talk about Pakistan, you'd get some kind of jokes, and they don't want to talk about it. They'd say it's a country with it's a military with a country as opposed to a country with a military, and these kind of things. And to see somebody come through from the grassroots all the way up on an anti-imperialist ticket, talking about drone strikes in Pakistan, talking about the relationship with the United States and how it can't continue. I think I saw the day after he was officially inaugurated as the Prime Minister, one of the journalists were asking about the relationship with the United States. And the answer he gave was like a seasoned revolutionary that had a clear vision on where Pakistan was going. And I just think that kind of optimism, it needs to be encouraged, and we can look for things, signs like him going to Saudi Arabia, but he hasn't done anything in terms of policies as of yet to get the level of cynicism that we've probably seen in this room. And just to echo the brother's point, just give him time, because he could be something great.
Gentleman here.
Yeah, I'm not Pakistani, obviously, but but I think for me,
not that obvious.
No, not obvious. Neither is the accent. But I think for me, if he goes to Saudi Arabia, then it's like going to America's best friend's house. So I think the signs there straight away are a little bit concerning. Iran's his border man. He's got Russia to the north. He's got China to the east. These are big, powerful, potential allies he's got. I think going westwards, and we've already seen America's loyalty to their friends who are not in power now, and I'm not saying they were great advocates of democracy, but we've seen what the lack of loyalty to Mubarak, to other people they've dealt with in the Middle East. The Shah. They don't have any friends, America. So to go to Saudi Arabia, to me, is a clear passage to say.
Well, maybe not. Let's see. Time will tell. But the trip was supposed to be to Iran and Saudi Arabia, but Iran got dropped off the itinerary.
Yeah.
Iran was supposed to be an investor in the port city, but that doesn't seem to be happening. It may be that sectarian politics inside Pakistan, as well as the geopolitical issues, are at play there. And I can understand that, of course. The man has to be elected. But it would be a strategic mistake to treat China as second class, to buy these. sorry to tell you that the Uyghur story is one of the great hoaxes of the 21st century. Every single year, every Ramadan, we get the same story, and it's no more true this year than it was last. It's a gigantic hoax that far too many Muslims lend themselves to. Sorry, I interrupted you. Last point.
I think my last point was, if you think, and I do know a bit about this subject, the Ottoman Empire of Turkey grew again out of an empire called the Sick Man of Europe. And we had a leader called Kemal Ataturk that basically managed the relationships of all these neighbours, because potentially every single one of them was an enemy. And he managed, and it was called, the Turkish policy at that time was wink at Russia, smile at Greece, shake your hands with Bulgaria, nod your head at Iran. You know, it was that was the Turkish saying.
I've heard that before. That's quite clever, yeah.
Yeah. So Imran Khan has got to do something very similar, but going to one side as a first, maybe that wasn't such a great idea to do. That's all.
Fair point, I think. Yes, gentleman there in the middle.
My name is Joshua Megan from Battersea. Obviously, neither am I Pakistani. We're sort of going in a bit of succession of people not from Pakistan now.
That's all right.
I think that Imran Khan has inherited a very... I mean, it's obvious it's a very difficult situation, and one that I would not wish on my own worst enemy, because he's got a country in which half the population are under the age of 22. So that's probably something like 100 million people that you have to educate and find jobs for, because, you know, young people need education and work, first and foremost. He's also got, as we say, the very unfavourable geopolitical position of being on bad terms with India and with America. Iran, I'm not too clued in on about that one, but certainly he's flanked by both sides from being quite unfavourably. So I do feel sorry for him for that. But one thing that does give me a ray of hope, and I'm certainly no fan of Pervez Musharraf. Okay, I'm no fan of his, but one positive indus that occurred under Musharraf is that the literacy rate in Pakistan actually did increase very substantially. And if Musharraf could do that, for all his faults, for his sycophancy to Bush, of course, you know, if even such a deplorable man could do that, achieve that indus, then someone as honourable as Imran Khan, or comparatively at least more honourable than Musharraf, could probably achieve a lot more, and already has before it became.
Good optimistic note. Miss Khan,
cautiously optimistic.
Miss Khan, your surname doesn't dictate your politics, of course, but let me just ask you what you, on balance, imagine will be the next 5 years. First of all, will Imran Khan survive the 5 years? And secondly, at the end of that 5 years, do you think things will look a bit rosier than some people here think?
Well, this is a difficult question. Because I talked about foreign policy, I'll go domestic. He has a lot of domestic challenges as well. And he plans for progress under a regressive right-wing agenda. His economic policies are very similar to PMLN's. They include mass privatization of state-owned enterprises. And what does that do? Well, it creates an environment that allows for rampant corruption. It allows the wealthy to amass even more wealth, and it widens the gap between the rich and the poor. So what does that, how does corruption go along with that? I mean, what will that happen? Also, I'm an accelerationist. So I think that if these policies fail, then it will pave the way for a left-wing party to come into power in the next 5 years. But I honestly don't have too much hope, because I know what his policies are. And, you know, I don't want to reduce political discourse to personality analysis, so I'm not going to stand by him. I will criticize him where it's needed. I will criticize his policies where it's needed, but I will applaud him when it's needed. So
this is a neoliberal prescription, privatization and austerity. Not much hope for the poor in that economic policy.
Exactly. And he's already created set up a privatization committee. So, you know, that doesn't look too good for the poor.
Excellency, the last word to you. No, this Excellency. Give us your last words on Imran Khan.
Basically, she just said about the privatization, which I really oppose on that, because there is no any set up things which the party is doing at the moment to privatize any railway or PIA or steel mill, any of the big foundations. We are not looking to do that, even though we are looking to enhance them towards, we're going to take them onto the level where there will be no any depreciation or losses whatsoever been done in the past. So in the economic policy, we have got the economic policy where we are going to revive our industry. We are going to establish more efficiency towards the tax collection. We are going to develop agriculture sector as well as building the dams and reserving the water. We're going to collect more taxes. We're going to do something towards the security of the Pakistan. We're going to ensure and we're going to enhance our access to the finances, and we are going to develop more 55 million houses we're going to build to enhance, to give more employment to the people from the private sector. We are going to facilitate the private small and medium enterprises to work with the public, and we are going to enhance the collection of the taxes. So this is some points I've just told you about our policy, and we are very keen on that, and we will do it. I'm just saying, give us some time, and you will see Imran Khan and the party leadership and the people standing along with him. They will do it.
Capital E, Excellency. Last word from you. I think the message of this program is give him some time.
Yes, I believe that.
Give him a chance. Do you agree with that?
I believe that. I believe, as in the first place, I said that he has been elected by the people. So he should be given, his tenure should be given to him. He should not be, unfortunately, so far no Prime Minister has survived 5 years. I hope he does. He will be the exception. From Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the only person who survived 5 years as Prime Minister. Benazir Bhutto couldn't, Nawaz Sharif thrice couldn't. And this time, Nawaz Sharif again was dismissed before that. So he should be given time. There's no argument over that. How much can it deliver is debatable. And, the gentleman has talked about a very ambitious program, future program. We can only wish him well that, yes, he should succeed at that. And in that lies Pakistan's salvation. But unfortunately, if you look at his party, I'm sorry I'm being critical of it, look at his party. If you look at the list of the leaders, starting from number 1 and number 2, Shah Mohammad Qureshi, ex-PML, ex-PPP, ex-something. Name anybody in the PP who is who in that party. Tareen, same, PMLQ. So, the entire PTI is half PPP, half PML and renegades. They're all those people who are, people who believe in this continuation establishment.
Changing coats is a tradition in Pakistan. It's called lota. In Pakistan, there's always a whole lot of lota going on.
Yes.
It's been marvellous. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much.